All right. Good morning, traders. Hey, good morning, Bobby. Hey, good morning, everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, today's August 5th. We just started a new 27K account yesterday. We're already off to a great start. All right. We're already up to 3%, a little over 3%. I don't know if I got a picture up here yet. Here, let's go ahead and share that. And so we're already up 3%. All right, there's my kind of track my stats. Here we go. All right, so you can see 922 yesterday, 922. All right, so yesterday we're gonna. I usually trade with either 1% or 2% of my account value. That's my risk. That's how much I'm going to put up for risk. But I have a rule that I can do 2% plus whatever excess I have over my 1%. So I got an extra $652 if I choose to use it. Okay. Again, I do not want to fall behind my 1% goal every single day. All right. Remember, the goal is 1% every day. You do this on a cumulative basis. All right, 1%. I think in 70 days you've doubled your account. Okay, but kind of want to get there faster. We'll see what happens. So in addition to my 540, all right, which would be probably 2% of my account, I have an extra 652 to put up at risk. Now remember, when you move your stop up to break even, you have eliminated your risk and you're free to take a new trade. Okay, so just a reminder there. Okay, so there's my trades from yesterday. You can see I document this every single day. Okay, and then in addition to that, you can see the products that I traded. I don't know if I have that up here. Let's go ahead and see if I got it. Here we go, right here. Let me drag it up. All right, and you can see here's the products. Okay, so you can see I lost $76 there, made $108 there on those calls, $149 on those calls, QQQ calls right there. SPY calls, $80, $521 on some puts. QQQ calls again, $21, and then $119 on those calls there. Okay, so you can see I kind of track everything. All right, kind of keep everybody informed as to what's going on. So we're going to talk about how I'm going to trade SPY today. Before I get started, let's go ahead and let me move this out of the way. I just want to remind everybody that here in the room, all right, for members, all right, we're doing member e-learning, how I use 3-ace trap. And that's coming out Thursday. All right, we're going to have 3 different presentations, one from Doug, one from me, one from Rick. All right, Doug starts at noon, I start at 1, and Rick starts at 2. Okay, so I probably won't be available, all right, in the room. All right, and this is for you members in the room now. Okay, but you're all invited and expected to kind of join the presentation, and it's going to be in the combo room, and it starts at noon. All right, so you're not going to see me trading. I may even turn off my screens because I can't use too much of my internet resources, because if I tie them up, and then what happens is things crash. All right, so you're going to probably find me in the room listening to Doug's presentation and performing my own at 1, as well as listening to Rick's at 2. All right, so if you don't see me in the room on Thursday, that's where I am. I'm over here doing the member e-learning on Thursday. That's August 7th, and it starts at noon with Doug Campbell. All right, so that's a special. That only goes out to the members. Okay, so everybody out there in public land, they don't have access to that. Only us. All right, only us members. All right, let's talk about a few things from yesterday. All right, I already went over 3% pop gain in the new 27K account. All right, let's talk about one other thing. How about, hey, see Joby? Joby got starred yesterday. I mentioned it early in the morning. All right, all these that are starred have the possibility of having a nice breakout. All right, they're in those launch pads that they've been constructing up there. All right, they have a possibility of breaking out. So let's go look at GTX, Joby, Urgent. All right, let's take a peek at those before we head off into SPY, Joby. And we'll look at it on the daily chart. And I'll look at yesterday. Is that yesterday's candle? Let's look at, yes, just yesterday's candle. Just yesterday's candle. Oh, look at yesterday's candle. Check this out. All right. In that launch pad, see the launch pad got constructed up there? All right. Little double bottom. Higher low, and higher low. And then you got a nice rip right off the launch pad right there. Looking like a rocket ready to take off. Okay. See, there's Joby. All right. And that was starred yesterday. For your convenience, okay, right here here it is, okay, starred right there. Put a little star if it's in the launch pad, ready to take off, or it close to probably taking off up there. Okay, let's take a peek at GTX and URGN, just another one. Okay, let's take a look at GTX. Okay, GTX came off the list, too much red. If I see too much red going on, that's a reversal pattern. 2 red, 1 green, 2 red. I don't like that pattern. So, and it may still break out today. You can see, you never know. All right, on GTX. So that one comes off. URGN, and look at URGN busting out. Okay, there's your launch pad. All right, little pop right there. All right, breaking out of the launch pad box or the consolidation box. I call them a grinder box because what they're doing is grinding away at the overhead supply so that they can go higher. Okay, so Urgent, have a little breakout right there. All right, let's go ahead and dig into the morning monologue. We'll try to make it quick. I know yesterday's was kind of long. We had some visitors from the open house, and I wanted everybody to be informed. Of course, it probably went much longer than expected. But relax, everything's going to be all right, okay? So just want to say today's August 5th, 2025. My name's John Carignan. I moderate the BYOB Trading Room, all right? And I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. This is the day trading service, all right, or the day trading division of the Hit and Run Candlesticks family, okay? So I want to thank everybody for being here. Again, thank you, everybody, Podcast Land, Digital Land, Cyberland. Thank you for following my content. Thank you for subscribing to my content. Thank you for sharing my content. Special shout out to Bob Jordan, Kathy Sarah Roasted, all of you. Thank you for sharing and posting my content. Love that. And Jim Jordan, too, as well. Okay, John Jordan. I meant John Jordan. All right. Again, thank you for being here. My SPY pivot this morning, 629.50 above it. I'm a bull, below it. I'm a bear. SPY QQQ made higher lows, higher highs, closing over bearish traps and over their 17 EMAs. IWM Diamond Dow, higher lows, higher highs, closing inside bearish traps, but under the 17 EMAs. FNGU made a lower high, lower low, higher low, higher high, closing inside a bearish trap and over the 17 EMA. SPY closed with 2-hour uptrend and a 10-minute uptrend. Let's talk about that for a second. What do I like? I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP that are inside 2-hour uptrends, that are inside daily uptrends, that are inside weekly uptrends, that are inside monthly uptrends, all right? I got all the time frames supporting my price, pushing it, filling my sails with wind, get that price up higher and higher, okay? That's what I like, all right? So we do have a 2-hour uptrend and a 10-minute uptrend and a daily uptrend still on the SPY. Silver still, let's see what we've got. Silver still in an uptrend, made a higher low and a higher high, closing inside a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. Gold in a daily downtrend, made a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish cross over the 17. USO in a daily uptrend, made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bearish cross, under the 17 EMA. UNG still in that bearish head and shoulders pattern. UNG in a daily downtrend, made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bearish trap, under the falling 17. US dollar index still in an uptrend, closed near the 98.62 area. SPY max pain for today, 629, with a put to call ratio for the options that do expire today. Remember, those index options expire at 4:15. Security options expire at 4. Okay, put to call ratio of about 1.2 puts, a little over 1 put, all right, for each call that expires today at 4:15. Okay, so you can see we still got, I still left GTX starred right here. Okay, so GTX, the only one with a star left today. I think that's got a long way to go. I don't think that's going to make it. It's got that reversal pattern look. Unless it breaks out today. We'll see what happens. All right. So we went through that. All right. We see the launch pads. All right. We went through those. Let's take a look at SPY. All right. Let's take a look at it on the 10-minute chart. All right. From yesterday. Okay. What do we got? 3 EMA on top of the 8 EMA. Okay. 10-minute uptrend coming into the close right there. Okay. 10-minute uptrend. Look at that consolidation over prior consolidation. Okay. You see the pivot line right here? Everything above the pivot kind of consolidating over everything underneath the pivot here, right here. Okay, so nice price action. Consolidation over consolidation usually leads to a breakout. Let's see if we got a breakout. Okay, on the 10-minute. Okay, so there we got the consolidation. Where's the pivot line? Again, right here, about 629.50. All right, and then you got the breakout into more consolidation over prior consolidation. That is a bullish outlook. All right, as we move over here, what are we expecting? Another breakout to the upside. Again, consolidation over consolidation is a bullish behavior. It is a bullish environment, okay? So we'll see how far we go with this, all right? So there's SPY on the 10-minute, okay? Plans for trading SPY today, okay? We do have a game plan. Okay, more than likely, I'm going to mark off the top and the bottom of the price action. I got to tell you, I think you're going to get a breakout long before the market opens on the SPY. So there's the low right down there. Not sure about that tail, but there's the low way down there. Going to take the pivot off because we don't need that. This is the range. This will be my morning range, okay? Break out of the top part of the range. All right, I'm going to trade it to the upside. Break down from the bottom side of the range, all right? Probably trade it down to the pivot, all right? And then we'll see if they consolidate down here, okay? So underneath, breakdown. But remember, okay, once we do the whole gap fill thing, we may bounce, all right? If they pull back and give us the gap fill, all right, we're probably going to bounce back up to the high. See, there's the breakout right there. See the breakout? You're getting it right now. I knew it was coming. See? Got consolidation over consolidation. Almost always leads to, a breakout over the upside right there. Okay? Love that. Love that. Okay? So here's price action looking good. Okay? Retracing over 50% of the move from the last 2 days. Okay? So here's Thursday, Friday. There's the midpoint right there because I got the quad lines up. And you can see price action starts consolidating over the midpoint. Anytime you got more than 50% of anything, all right, you have the majority ownership, right? So if you got more than 51%, that tells me there's more bullish sentiment, all right, than there is bearish sentiment because, look, the bears pushed it down, but the bulls pushed it right back up over 51%. Okay, so bears can't hold it. All right, so we'll see what happens. All right, looking for another move to the upside. Projected for a 6.14 move today. We'll see if we get it. That would take us clear up to about 636, right into this consolidation that we had back here on the 30th and the 29th of July. We'll see what happens, all right? Again, when we're in the upper third, that's bullish, all right? In the lower third, that's bearish. Okay, same thing applies here. Okay, so if we get up here in the upper third, that would be very bullish. And you can see we're breaking out into that upper third area if you look at these quad lines right now. Okay, again, we have 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. All right, that's inside of a 2-hour uptrend. That's inside of a daily uptrend. That's inside of a weekly uptrend, inside of a monthly uptrend. You get the deal, all right? This is bullish, all right? Look, it's bullish till it's not, all right? All right, I like to stick with the trend. No picking tops and bottoms. Find that 10-minute uptrend. Trade that 10-minute uptrend. That's what I like. All right, so there's SPY. Okay, we're going to mark off the top and the bottom. Going to trade the breakout of the top or the bottom. All right, keep in mind we're going to look for targets on each side. Sometimes there's a target just below the bottom or just over the top. All right, so we'll see what happens. There's SPY on the 10-minute chart. Okay, we're also going to mark off the first 15 minutes, and we're going to call that the opening range. Okay, a breakout. We'll also trade a breakout of the opening range, either to the upside or the downside. Again, keep an eye on those targets like gap fill. All right, prior highs. All right, prior gap, open gaps. All right, breakdown candle highs. All right, keep an eye on those targets. All right, so there's SPY on the 10-minute. All right, and you can see in the pre-market, we're going to mark it off, trade the breakout. All right, map out the opening range, trade the breakout. Okay, now if we get a big igniting candle right here, which same thing we got yesterday. All right, we had an opening range that was right up here, and then we got an igniting candle. All right, I'm going to trade the opening breakout of that consolidation. Okay, so you can see this has been consolidating now for a long time. All right, this is ready and wound up for a nice breakout. So wherever this goes, it might go far, probably up to 635, maybe even up to 636. We'll see. Okay, so there's SPY on the 10-minute chart. On the daily chart, all right? We're not going to do everything today, okay? Everything, we're going to cut it a little bit shorter than we normally have it, okay? SPY daily candle, higher low, higher high, closing over the bearish trap, because the 3 is underneath the 8. Over the bearish trap. See the green dots? All right? So that's the 17 EMA, so closing over the 17 EMA. Okay, so there's SPY in a daily uptrend. Now, in order for SPY to get in a downtrend, has to take out this low down here, okay? It's got to be a low that pokes below the 17 EMA right here, okay? Got to come all the way down here to take out that low in order to get into a downtrend. Well, now it only has to get underneath this low, all right? If it gets underneath that low, we'll have a downtrend. So there's SPY on the daily chart, okay? Nice recovery yesterday, closing up well over the midpoint. Look at that. You can see the midpoint line right in there. That's the opening range. Remember, we mapped that out earlier. Okay, so there's SPY in a daily uptrend. Weekly chart. Just look at it. See all the green dots? Weekly uptrend. Monthly chart. All right, see all the green dots? Monthly uptrend. All right, so there's SPY in a 10-minute uptrend, inside a 2-hour uptrend, inside a daily uptrend, inside the weekly, monthly. You get the deal, okay? SPY. Let's take a look at the game plan. All right, and zoom down to the 5-minute, and let's try this one. Zoom down to the 10-minute. Okay, game plan. All right, I don't know if it's going to work today because we're already breaking out to the upside. Okay, the game plan right here. Okay, SPY pivot, 629.50. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. SPY, red erases green. Underneath, 527.95. See these red candles right here? Consolidation. We break out below the bottom of the base. Probably coming down here to check out that open gap. Okay, so below 627.95. All right, is my bearish red erases green entry. Okay, got a green erases red entry over 631.15. Okay, that would be my green erases red entry over 631.15. Okay, remember there's a gap fill to be had right up here. Okay, right at 631.95, I believe. All right, right through there. All right, we got a gap fill that could be had, and I think they already got it in the pre-market. Anyways, I'm an options trader because I like to leverage my money, okay? I like 3 days till expiration options. I like 10 days till expiration options. I like them on the multiple of 5. I like the strikes to be $3 to $15 out of the money. I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP and breaking away from VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP and breaking away from VWAP. In other words, they're separating themselves from VWAP. And when that happens, I can have an opportunity like this. See how the price separates itself from VWAP, separates. I have an opportunity to make a lot of money during those periods when I see price break away from VWAP. Okay, the market is still bullish. Okay, a couple of red days don't make the market bearish. All right, but the market is still bullish. Okay, did we have a pullback? Yes, we did. Did we recover some of that pullback? Yes, we did. Could we visit the lows? It is possible. All right, we'll see. Again, we have to get back up into this consolidation and hold the higher ground. Okay, can we recover? It's looking good so far. We'll see what happens. All right, so there's SPY. QQQ's got a game plan as well. Let's visit that. QQQ pivot 562.95. Okay, bullish over 564.30 is a bullish entry. Bearish entry underneath 561.40. That is a bearish entry. Again, QQQ pivot 562.95. Okay. Again, we like the same options. All right. I like them. 3 days till expiration, Friday options. 10 days till expiration, Friday options on the multiple of 5 that are $3 to $15 out of the money. Again, we like same thing. All right. I'm a big fan of the 10-minute uptrend, 10-minute downtrend. I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. All right. So there we go. I'm just going to run through a few things real quick, and we're going to wrap this up at 8:30. All right. We're going to wrap this thing up. Okay. So we got about 7 minutes left. All right. Let's start with daily chart. Okay. We're going to start with the daily chart. We're going to do IWM. All right, IWM on the daily chart. Okay, notice IWM made a lower low right here. See this valley low? We made a lower low below the 17. IWM's in a downtrend. All right, it's not in the upper third anymore. All right, so it's neutral and in a downtrend because they made a lower low. Okay, I'm going to run through them quick. Diamond Dow, see the low poking through the 17, downtrend. Okay, it's up in quadrant 4, so that's in the upper third, so that's bullish, but in a downtrend. So it's a pullback. Okay, we're in a downtrend, but we're still bullish because look, we're still consolidating over prior consolidation. Okay, see this up here? Wow, that's big. All right, let's try this one more time over this consolidation right there. Okay, consolidation over prior consolidation. Again, is a bullish environment. This could be the pullback before they rip to the upside. It's a possibility. We'll see. Diamond Dow, FNGU. Yeah, that's not what I wanted. All right, FNGU got a low right here. Not really a pivot low. Kind of tough to call that a valley low. But nonetheless, it's below the 17. So FNGU in a downtrend, they made a lower low. See how they got below the consolidation here. So they're in a downtrend, but they're up there in quadrant 4, so they're bullish. All right, take a look at our technicals. Yesterday's price action. Well, we ripped from the oversold zone, all right, clear into the buyer's chop zone, all right, and then we made an appearance in the buy zone, making a higher low and a higher high up here in T21.22, okay? That's bullish, making that higher low and higher high. Notice we're breaking the downtrend. Okay, like to hold this downtrend. Like to see price stay above the downtrend line right there. I'm going to take that out. Okay, like to see it stay above the 50-yard line. That's the 50% or the midpoint of the buyer's chop zone and seller's chop zone. Okay, so there's 15-minute chart, T2122. This is T2123, 15-minute chart. Okay, we haven't made any higher highs yet, so we're still in a downtrend on the T2123 15-minute time frame. Okay, because we made lower lows. See the lows? We made lower lows. Okay, have not made any higher highs. Notice we had a bearish gap down, not filled by the bulls. Kind of showing some weakness there on the bullish part. Okay, T2123. 3-bar chart. This is a bigger, stronger time frame. Okay, we got a low, we got a higher low. All right, so we're still in an uptrend till we take out that low. Still in an uptrend. Okay, you can see price action from the all-time high down to the pullback low right here. Same one that Wall Street bought. Okay, price action is up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish. All right, and still in an uptrend on the 3-bar chart. Okay, haven't made a lower low. All right, notice going up, giving up a little bit. Again, that could be a pullback. All right, we're still dealing with this consolidation over here. Okay, just a little bit of consolidation over here. Okay, so we were dealing with this high and this high right there. We had already gotten through this low and this low. Okay, now we'll put the crosshairs on it. See where we are. Okay, so that's, see how high we got? We got over this low and this low. All right, and all we had to deal with was these two. Okay, because once we get past those two right there, all that's stopping us is the all-time high. All right, from making new highs. That's it. All right, now we got a pullback, and you can see we got support right here in this valley, and we got underneath this valley. So we got to come back up through this valley low one more time. All right, we'll see what happens. That's T2123 3-bar chart, FNGU right here on the 15-minute chart. You can see price action yesterday, buying from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. Look at price action, move up, hold the higher ground and consolidate all day over VWAP. That's bullish. Okay, like to see them get up here and climb back up on top of that 200 SMA. Above the 200 SMA is bullish. Below it, it's kind of neutral at this state. All right, so there's FNGU on the 15-minute chart. All right, so that's it for me for today. All right, you know what? I'll visit a couple more. All right, before I wrap it up. All right, let's go ahead and we'll look at gold. Consolidating up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish, but they got themselves in a downtrend by making a lower low. But the good news, they're not moving down. Silver. Okay, silver up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish. Okay, and still in an uptrend. Kind of a sloppy bullish hold up there. Okay, but nonetheless up there in quadrant 4. That's bullish and still in an uptrend. All right, hasn't made any lower lows. USO. Okay, USO still making higher lows and higher highs. That's still bullish. Okay, yesterday or day before, that would be Friday, they were still bullish. Yesterday they lost it. So now they're neutral, but still in an uptrend. Notice they're holding quite a bit of ground and time over this 3-year high anchored VWAP. Okay, that is a bullish outlook. All right, although they could not hold the upper third. Okay, that's USO. UNG, okay, notice they have the head and shoulders pattern. I'll hit it one more time. Triple crown head right up there. Okay, right shoulder, this double top. Left shoulder, that double top. Okay, all-time low right there. They look ready to challenge that all-time low. Okay, see the downtrend with lower lows? Just keep making lower lows. See all the red dots? Downtrend. That's a bearish head and shoulders pattern. All right, that's it for me. I will be back at 9:15 so we can map out the opening range and map out the pre-morning range, all right? And we're going to look for a breakout of either side, all right? Thanks, traders. I'll see you guys in 45 minutes.